Okay, everyone, this is Brian Lyles down in here from Philadelphia. Excited that you guys took some time out of your schedule to be with us this evening. If you're here on the East Coast like me, you're probably snowed in and dealing with some sub-zero temperatures. But hey, this is a great time to kind of go through some training and to learn some critical things towards building your business, especially as we launch off here in the new year, and we all have made New Year's resolutions and set some new goals for our business. So give me just about 30 seconds here. I want to just let a few more people log in, and then we are going to get started. Awesome, guys. Well, let's get started here. Hopefully, you have a pen, you have a piece of paper. I do want to tell you in advance, I am feeling a little bit under the weather. I think these incredible change in temperatures have kind of gotten me a little bit, but I did just get a new box of Z Cell delivered today, so Z Cell is on the case. I'm sure I'll be doing much better very soon. But the reason why I tell you that is that if all of a sudden we hear like a dead space here for just a second, it's not because we got cut off. It's because I muted the line really quick so you don't hear my coughing attack. But I'll be right back. So bear with me, guys. But I do want to get through this information. I think it's pretty apropos too, especially considering we're here at the very beginning of the year where people do tend to make a lot of their New Year's resolutions. So let's get to it, guys. Again, I told you that at the beginning of every training, we're going to start the same way. With the success in MLM is a large group of people, teach them some simple tasks, have them repeat those tasks consistently over a reasonable period of time. Large group, simple tasks repeated consistently over time. You've got a massive, massive business. And this has been a tried and true formula forever in this industry. And anytime somebody tries to violate it, they try to figure out how to do it with a small group or how to do it with complex tasks or how to have people do things once or twice and then not have to do them again for a long time and then do them once or twice again later or make it happen instantaneously. Every time they try to violate it in any of those ways, it normally results in massive, massive failure. So if you want to have the best chance at success, it's going to be a large group, simple tasks repeated consistently over time. That's just success in MLM, multi-level marketing, network marketing in general. But I want to make sure that at the beginning of every training, we're reminding people that because the more you begin to embrace and adopt this philosophy, the more everything is going to make sense to you. But listen, I want to get into this time of the year. I know we did the launch kickoff call. I talked a little bit about some of the New Year's resolutions I heard, and it just kind of reminded me that this is a time of the year when people tend to set a lot of goals, and a lot of people set goals every single New Year. They don't accomplish them, and part of the reason why they don't accomplish them is because they don't understand that when it comes to goal setting, there really are six key things that you need to understand for effective goal setting. And I really want to go through them with you because I think it will help you guys be much more successful in your business. I know for me, it tremendously propelled my business in the very beginning when I really learned these six key things to goal setting. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about how I use this at the very beginning when I'm dealing with brand new people in terms of setting goals with them right out of the gate to get them focused in. So the first thing is that goals have to be written. And I mean, this is pretty critical. I'm going to go through each one of these separately, so I'm not going to spend too much time here, but they have to be written, they have to be specific, there has to be a deadline that is attached to them. They have to be viewed daily, okay, which is a big one that most people don't get, but I'm going to explain that. You have to understand that there's a price to be paid too when you're actually setting a goal of something you want to accomplish, and then it has to be accompanied by a plan. There's a saying that says a goal without a plan is just a wish, and that wishes don't always come true. So if you really want something to happen, you have to have a plan attached to it to really be able to have the success that you're looking for. So let's kind of get into them individually. Written goal. Let's just say that you wanted to make a lot of money. So you would write it down. Hey, my Alphay goal is to make a lot of money. And that's what most people do. That's pretty much about as specific as they get about their goal. They say, I want to make a lot of money. They are taking a good first step, which is writing them down. Whenever I encounter people and I say, hey, do you have goals? I always throw them off because I don't say, what are they? I say, where are they? And it always kind of gets people to give me a curious look because they've never heard anybody ask them that question before. But the reality is, I know that for you to have a better opportunity or a better chance for your goals to actually be accomplished, you have to write them down. And there's been study after study on this. In fact, I mean, one of the most famous studies everybody always talks about is a 1953 Yale school study where they actually asked the graduating class how many of them had goals, and a bunch of people raised their hands and they said, "How many of you guys have your goals written down?" And about 3% of the class had their goals written down. 20 years later, they came back to the same group of people and they actually took a look at their net worth, and the 3% that had their goals written down were worth more than the other 97% combined. So again, there's something about kind of writing this down, about really bringing it out of your mind and into reality, so that your brain can really focus on it. That really kind of clarifies it and tells you exactly what you're looking for. So your goals have to be written if you want to even have a shot at being able to accomplish them. So that's step number one. Step number two is they have to be specific. So make a lot of money is not specific. You don't know what that really means. You don't know when you've accomplished that. You don't know how close you are to it. But for your brain to really zero in on what you're trying to do, you have to have a specific goal. So now I don't just want to make a lot of money. I want to make $5,000 per month in my Alphay business. So that's a specific number, specific goal, something that I can really start wrapping my head around, so I can start figuring out what does it take to make $5,000 a month? How far away from $5,000 a month am I? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and really start figuring out the details when it comes to my planning stage of what I'm going to have to do to be able to get this done. Now, the other thing that's incredibly critical, though, is there has to be a deadline. You can't just say, I want to make $5,000 a month. The reality is, you won't kick yourself into that drive to get something done if it's just kind of dangling out there, if there's no deadline to it. So, really, what you want to say is, I want to make $5,000 a month by January 2019. So that's about a year from now, right? So I got a year to basically accomplish this goal. And the reason why this is critical is because if you look at things like the Pareto principle, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of the Pareto principle before, where it's 80% of all the work is completed by 20% of the people, but also 80% of all the work is done in the last 20% of the time. It's just something about when your brain establishes a deadline, the closer you get to that deadline, the more your creative juices start flowing, the more you start being a little bit more driven, the more your work ethic tends to kick in. And again, if you don't set the goal, you never get to take advantage of that 20% of time when 80% of the work's going to be done, because you don't know what you're coming up against. So you have to basically have a deadline involved. So $5,000 a month by January 2019, that's far, far different than just saying $5,000 a month. This gives you a much better chance of being able to go out there and accomplish this now that you're kind of turning on the psychology of your brain to basically say, hey, this is exactly what we want. This is exactly what we wanted. So now let's start putting the things in place to be able to get this done. The next thing is that it has to be viewed daily. And no matter how much I do this training, this is always the one that people don't understand. This is always the one where people say, "Well, I don't get that," and it's because they don't really understand exactly how the brain works. And listen, why would you? If nobody ever pointed it out to you, there's really no reason for you to really think about this. But there's a lot of science to this. And I don't want to get too technical, but your brain has something called a reticular activation system. And what that is your personal filter, screen, safety gauge, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and this is how it works. On any given day, your brain is taking in an insane amount of information. Everything you see, everything you taste, everything you smell, everything you hear, things that you're not even aware of. There's birds flying overhead. Your brain is taking in what kind of birds they are, what formation they're flying in, what color of the birds, what direction they're flying in. You don't think about that stuff consciously, but your brain is taking all that information. The problem is that if everything your brain took in, you tried to have on the forefront of your mind, you would probably go crazy. Your brain would probably explode because it's just too much information to overload you with on your conscious mind. So, what the reticular activation system does is it filters out information that it considers to not be important to you, not vital to you, not critical to you, and pushes it back into your subconscious, if you will, and only brings things forward to the conscious mind that it considers to be relevant to you. So, when you're viewing your goals daily, Okay, you're telling your brain that this is what I want. I want $5,000 a month by January 2019 in my Alphay business. I want $5,000 a month by January 2019 in my Alphay business. You're telling your brain that that is what's critical to you. That's what's important to you. So what starts to happen is you start to become aware of things around you that may have been around you before that you weren't paying attention to, that can move you closer to that goal. Think about it this way. How many times have you had a friend tell you that, hey, I just bought a new car, and you say, what kind of car did you get? And they tell you a car that you're not familiar with. I did, and I'm just going to throw out a car name, but they say I just got a red Ford Focus, and you say, man, I'm not familiar with a Ford Focus. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But then starting the next day, when you go outside in the street, everywhere you look, you're seeing red Ford Focuses everywhere. And you're like, man, these cars, everybody must have bought them at the same time. And that's not what happened. They were always out there. There were red Ford Focuses going by you every single day, but your brain did not consider that to be important information to you, so it filtered it out. Now that you're looking for it, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing just how many of them are out there. Well, it's the same way when it comes to prospects, or when it comes to potential customers or leaders, or all of a sudden, when you're focused on this $5,000 a month by January 2019, when that becomes your primary focus, all of a sudden you become aware that people all around you are having conversations about how dissatisfied they are with the amount of money they make. How they're looking for a career change, how they're really concerned about their health, how they're concerned about not being able to afford their kids' college education. All these things that were being said in your midst before and kind of in one ear out the other, now all of a sudden your brain is saying, hey, this is critical. Alert, 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 pay attention. That is a conversation that could lead you closer to your goal. And that's what it's about. It's about leading you closer to your goal. Guys, you think about when we launched we launched the first spaceship to the moon. It was off track about 95% of the time, and it was only on track about 5% of the time. So think about that for a second. We're launching a rocket ship from the Earth to the moon. It's only on track 5% of the time, but it still landed on the moon. How is that possible? Well, the way that it's possible is it had with this internal system that really was just set up to just check all the time. It would just check and say, okay, what's going on? Are we on track? Are we off track? This gyrator system, and it said, we on track? We off track? We on track? We off track? And it would just check. And every time it saw that it was off track by 2 degrees left, let's adjust it 2 degrees left. Off track by 2 degrees right, let's adjust it by 2 degrees right. Over and over and over again. And eventually, this gyroscope just doing these checks, and obviously with NASA, I mean, they were probably doing checks like every millisecond or something like that. But being able to make these adjustments with this gyroscope every couple of seconds allowed the moon landing to become possible. Well, it's the same way with your business. Most people, they make these New Year's resolutions on January 1st, and then they don't check to see how they did until December 31st. And they wonder why it is they didn't get it done. But imagine if you were taking a look at your goal every single day, and your brain was saying every single day, what did I do today to bring me closer to this goal? What did I do to take me further away? Let's do more of the stuff that brought me closer. Let's do less of the stuff that took me further away. That's how people who view their goals daily tend to go out there and get them accomplished a lot more frequently, a lot more often than people who view their goals less frequently. So this is a big deal. I know for a lot of people, they don't understand this one right away, but hopefully that's clear enough for you to understand why this is a critical one. The next one is understand that there's a price to be paid. Success is paid for in advance. And this is one of the things that a lot of people don't really balance this in their mind, that there is no success without sacrifice. People say, well, right now I make 50 grand a year, but what I want to make is 50 grand a month. But I don't want to change anything. I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to go to meetings. I don't want to get on trainings. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to pitch stuff. I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to, they start telling you all the things they don't want to do. And because they're not willing to sacrifice anything, they want to somehow, instead of reordering themselves to fit the universe, they want to reorder the universe to fit them. And it's a foolish notion, but people try to do it all the time. We call those people failures because they're never able to accomplish their goals by trying to do all these things they're trying to do. So success is paid for in advance, and you need to ask yourself right up front, depending on how aggressive your financial goal is, what am I going to be willing to give up? What am I going to be willing to learn? What am I going to be willing to do that is currently right now uncomfortable to me? So I'm going to maybe watch a little bit less TV, maybe not go bowling or as much, or not work on my golf game as much. I'm going to have to read some additional books, and I don't really like to read, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to learn how to talk to some people that I don't know. I don't really like talking to strangers. Kind of weird to me, but I'm gonna have to do it. But you're gonna have to figure out, because you have to pay the price for success in advance. Once you're willing to do this, once you first accept that this is part of effective and proper goal setting, and you realize that you're gonna actually you know, decide what you're giving up or what you're sacrificing or what you're changing or what type part of your comfort zone you're bumping up against, that is going to really accelerate your growth towards getting towards your goal. And finally, it has to be accompanied by a plan. I always love telling people your first plan is going to be your worst plan. I remember when I first got started in network marketing, I wanted to become a millionaire in a year, right? Because that's how foolish I was. I was just saying, hey, this seems so easy. I'm going to become a millionaire in a year. And part of my plan was not just to talk to a lot of people, but part of my plan was that every single person I talked to was going to say yes. So you can figure out that that plan didn't really work out very well for me, but I didn't know that. At least I had a plan, right? And your first plan is always going to be your worst plan. That's why in network marketing we say there's something called plan, do, review. You make a plan, you go out and do it, and then you come back and review your results, and then you make adjustments to your plan based off your results. So for me, when I went out and talked to a bunch of people and not everybody said yes, when I did my review, I realized that, okay, I based all my numbers, the fact that it was going to be $1 million, it's going to be 1 year from now, off of the fact that everybody's going to tell me yes. Okay, that's not going to happen. So now I need to basically start adjusting it and adjust it back to a ratio. So let's say that instead of everybody saying yes, let's say 2 out of 10 people say yes. And I had to start making these adjustments in my plan about how I was exposing people, how I was following up with them, who was saying yes, who was saying no, what was going to be their growth rate, how I was going to train them to duplicate me, etc. But again, it was being able to go out and do this and set together this plan. So again, first plan is going to be your worst plan, but you have to have a plan attached to your goal if you want to accomplish it, because a goal without a plan is just going to be a wish. Okay, guys. So with that said, let's say that I was welcoming somebody to the business. So, I got a brand new Alphay associate. Welcome to Alphay. Pretty fired up about that, and I really want to get them right out the gate with a financial goal. Because for me, people are joining the business. Again, they're not joining the business because they want to be a customer, or just for the product. If they just like the product, they would be a customer. If they're joining the business, it's because they want to have some sort of financial reward for being a part of the business, right? So you're going to treat them a little bit differently than a customer. So a person that I'm welcome to Alphay, right away, I want to get, inside their head. I want to find out what they're looking to earn financially, so we can start talking about how to connect that to their why, how to create the vision for them, show them how to connect it to what we need them to do, and get them out to a very, very fast start. So the purpose for me is to create a clear financial targeting game plan for my new distributor. Let's say his name was John. I want to give John a clear monthly goal, a clear monthly target. And I also want to connect that target to his why, to John's why, so that it's about more than just money. Because again, if it's just money, very, very quickly, if things aren't going well for him, he'll start saying to himself, well, that's all right. I don't really need that extra money. I can live without that. So I want to connect it to a reason why for him, so we can actually make it happen. So I'm going to ask John a few questions. And the first question is, hey, John, if you get started with us, a year from now, how much would you need to be earning monthly for you to consider this to be a great business decision? I think that's a pretty good question for people, because, again, I'm asking them, to really think long term now, not think a week from now or a day from now, but a year from now. A year from now, a year from now, I want you to fast forward. You've been working with Alpha, you've been working our system, you're working our business. How much money would you need to be earning on a monthly basis for you to say back, you know what, this is a good decision. I'm glad I actually got involved with the company. Now, the most common responses I get are somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 a month. Most people, and again, it depends on what they're looking for, but for most people, it's somewhere between 2 and 5 grand a month. They figure if they were making between 2 and 5 grand a month, part-time, spare time, by the way. I'm not talking about somebody quitting their job right away to do Alpha full-time out the gate, but that would be life-changing for them, and that would be pretty exciting. So my next question always is, so let's say John said $5,000 a month. I said, man, that's great, man. Let me ask you, man, how would an extra $5,000 a month right now How would that change your life? And that really gets me closer to what it is they're really looking to do, because now they're going to start telling me what's important to them. Whether it's paying college tuition, whether it's being able to walk away from their job, whether it's being able to help out their parents, whether it's being able to have a little bit more security, get out of debt, whatever. That's what I want to know, and I want them to really think about it as well, because that's where the emotional attachment comes to. There's no emotional attachment to money, but there is emotional attachment to the things that money can do. So asking him how the money would change his life, that would be a big deal. The next question is, what would you have to do at your current job to get a $5,000 a month raise? For most people, the answer to this question, no matter what they told me they want, 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month, three, four, $5,000 a month, 10,000 a month. The answer is nothing. The answer is there's nothing I could do at my current job to get that type of blackmail. That's about the only thing I could do. I could blackmail my boss. That's about the only thing I could do to get a $5,000 a month raise. But I want people to realize that, because I want them to realize that this is a better option. This is something that it's not like, hey, I could just give up on this and just keep working my job and eventually get to this kind of money. I want them to realize that if they're really looking to make this type of significant financial change, Alphay is their solution, and they're going to want to stick with it. And then next, I'm going to say, listen, if I could show you a way that made sense to you to earn that money on a part-time basis, would you be interested? This is a way of really getting people into the right mindset before I start going through the compensation plan with them and letting them know what we need them to do. So, with that said, I show them the unilevel monthly commission, because again, when I start talking about making $5,000 a month or 2,000 a month or 3,000 a month, I always want to go to the residual aspect of it, because this is, to me, is the most powerful form of income that we offer, because it's the form that everybody gets excited about. The idea of doing something one time, having it build up over time, right? And then getting paid over and over and over again without having to do additional sales or additional work. So what I show John is just basically how it works. Hey, we've got these different levels 1 through 10. On level 1, these are all the customers that you attract personally, right? These are all the people you attract personally who decide to get Alpha products from you. And if they're going to reorder those products, we'll pay you 15% of their monthly sales, month after month after month. Level 2, though, is as you attract distributors who actually go out and get customers, you'll make 5% off of their sales. Level 3 is going to keep going. And then level 4, then level 5, then level 6, et cetera, et cetera. So as you attract people who attract people who attract people, you're going to earn a percentage of those sales. And you'll notice it's 15% for your first level, but for every other level, it's 5%. And I'd like to use that 5% normally as my baseline, because that's going to be the majority of the sales volume that you're going to be dealing with. And then, John, what I want you to see is how this works. You may have seen this when you looked at our initial presentation, but just make sure you understand that all we're saying is, if on level 1 you just found 3 distributors who were each responsible for just 100 points in volume, that could be their personal usage, or that could be because of their customers they acquired, whatever. Then you're earning 15%. It would be $45 a month. On level 2, those 3 distributors each found 3, so you got 900 points in volume, 5%, another $45 a month, total of 90. Right, level 3, 27, 81, et cetera, et cetera, and these numbers start growing. Now, the thing I want you to understand, John, is these are cumulative numbers. So on level 1, you might be earning $45 a month, but on level 2, you're earning 90. Level 3, 225. Level 4, 630. And you can start to see that the numbers grow and grow and grow. So what I want to show you is how we can actually put together a formula of what we're looking to accomplish for you to get your goal of $5,000 a month. And the formula is really simple. It's the number of distributors times 100 points in volume, because that's normally what we're dealing with to keep the numbers low, times 5%. Again, I'm going to ignore that 15% on the first level, because it's not like you're going to go find 100,000 customers or whatever on your own. It's going to be mostly volume that's coming out of your organization, and that's going to equal your monthly residual goal. So let's say your monthly residual goal, like you said, John, was $5,000 per month. If we backtrack into it, we figure out that you need about 1,000 distributors on your team. 1,000 distributors times 100 BV is 100,000 in volume, times 5% equals $5,000 coming into your household month after month after month. So we're looking to do that for you. You said you wanted to be doing that in a year. So let's take a look again. That would be right around here, our 6th level. Somewhere between 5th and 6th level, you would hit your $5,000 a month goal. And if you look over here, if you added this up, it's a little over 5,000 bucks. It's a little over 1,000 distributors if you add all those distributors up. But that would be here. So basically duplicating this system of 3 getting 3 through 6 levels. Now, if it took you 1 month for each level, you could get there in 6 months. If it took you 2 months for each level, you could get there in 1 year. And it's really going to be about getting you into this idea of understanding that for you to get this done, first you have to learn how to do it. You have to learn how to get your three, okay? And we're going to show you how to do that. Then you have to be willing to teach others how to do it. That's what the duplication is from level 1 to 2. And then we're teaching others to teach it. And that's where the real success comes in this business. In fact, if you can do it, if you can teach it, and you can teach others to teach it, you can pretty much accomplish any financial goal that you have in this business. And for that aspect, John, that's what we put together this Power of Three program. It's our 90-day game plan. Your first 30 days, I'm going to work with you one-on-one, very diligently, showing you how to get your three customers and get your three distributors. We got some things we're going to do with you. We're going to have a private business reception to get you launched off, which we could probably accomplish that goal of 3 and 3 right in your private business reception. But even if we don't, we can do some private conference calls. We've got some videos I'm going to show you that we use and how we actually go out and expose people with those videos. We've got different webinars and conference calls, a whole bunch of different ways we have so that you simply can plug people in, sit back, let us tell the information, but you can get customers and distributors. Now, you do that in your first 30 days, we're going to give you extra bonuses. So on top of the fact that we're building towards your $5,000 goal, we're also financially incentivizing you. In your next 30 days, we're going to show you how to help your three do what you did. You do that, they'll get bonuses. You'll get an iPad. And your final 30 days of this 90-day game plan, we're going to show you how to show your three how to get that iPad. You do that, right? Which means you do it, you teach others to teach it, right? We're going to show you how to turn those three get an iPad, you get a MacBook computer. The great thing though is this level of duplication is going to produce some incredible results for you. Remember, this would take you through 3 levels. So when we just go through 3 more levels, not only have you had some success, you've built up a nice sized team, you got over 1,000 people in your team, but you're also hitting your goal of $5,000 per month. So John, I know that's got to be pretty exciting to you, and that's why we actually show you how to set these goals up right here in the very beginning. So guys, now that we understand that, that's how you welcome a brand new person to the team. And I know a lot of you are not doing that. You're getting somebody signed up and you're saying, okay, great, welcome to Alphay. Good luck. Plug in, hop on my webinar, hop on my conference call, do whatever. But you're never really setting that initial goal with them. You're never really setting that vision with them. So therefore, they're never really buying in to Power 3. They're not buying into duplication. They're not buying into building a residual income because they don't understand exactly how it ties back into what they're trying to do. Once they understand that, once they say, wow, I get it. I want my $5,000 a month. The way I can get the quickest way possible is to go get 3 distributors and 3 customers in my first 30 days. That goal is written. That goal is specific. That goal has a deadline, right? Now they can put that up on their wall somewhere and they can look at that every single day. My 3 and 3, got to get my 3 and 3 and 30, get my 3 and 3 and 30, right? And then you're going to work out with them a plan, and they're going to have to figure out, hey, to get this done, what are the things I'm going to have to give up? I'm going to, until I get my 3 and 3, man, I'm not watching any more football on Sunday. I'm going to spend my time prospecting until I get my 3. I'm not going to do this. But the point is, it's a very good way that obeys all the goal setting principles to get someone launched off into the business right away. Guys, listen, what I want to tell you though is whatever your goals are this year, and again, I've talked to a bunch of people and I've heard some of it. I want to be diamond or keymaster, doubling my income, quitting my job, retiring my spouse, tripling the size of my team. Although I love this one though. I'm going to attend an incentive trip with 20 of my team members because the thing I like about that is because that's about leadership duplication, right? Not just make it to an incentive trip, but make it there with 20 of my team members because if you had 20 of your team members on an incentive trip with you, you know what that would mean, right? You know what type of growth that would indicate in your business, and it will also show a degree of leadership and duplication happening. Guys, whatever your goals are, they can be accomplished. They can all be accomplished this year. I don't see any of the things on here that can't be accomplished in 1 year if you're doing the right things. And doing the right things means plugging everyone into the system. Now, it doesn't just mean plugging yourself into the system. There are a lot of people right now that you guys are here and you're on this training tonight, but nobody on your team is on this training. Or less than half your team or less than 10% of your team is on this training, and your goal is to maybe get this information and go back to them and try to share it with them, but you're missing the point. That's not duplicable. What's duplicable is to promote and have every single person in your team on these trainings so they're not missing this information as it's being shared fresh. They're getting the idea, they're understanding exactly what to do, they're getting the information that they need to get, and they're going out there and building their business. The other thing is we do the calls on Wednesday night where we're doing presentations. Same thing. A lot of you guys are on those calls every single week, but you're on those calls by yourself. Now, we appreciate you being there because you're going to learn how to do the call by being on the call over and over and over again. So that's good because ultimately that's going to allow you to duplicate. But if you had your team on there, if you had your prospects on there, you're plugging everybody into the system, and that starts to duplicate. So now, you're on a call this week with 5 guests. Three of those guests get excited and get started. They're on the call next week with 5 guests. So now you've got 15 new people taking a listen on your behalf of the business. The following week, those numbers just keep tripling and tripling and tripling. You can see how quickly you could explode your business. But you're not exploding your business when you're not plugging everyone into the system. So by plugging people into the system, that's how you're ultimately going to be able to accomplish your goals in Alpha and in the business. So guys, again, I just wanted to share this with you again. It's the beginning of the year. I know a lot of people are setting those New Year's resolutions, they're setting those goals, and they're all pretty critical. But I wanted to make sure you guys understood this because at the end of the day, this is how you're going to get it done. And if you can understand this whole principle of effective goal setting and also this whole principle of taking every brand new distributor and getting with them, getting a financial targeted goal set for them right away, and then showing them how it ties back into our system, how it ties right back into our comp plan, right back into our Power 3, so they understand now the value of Power 3 from second one, right, minute one, second one. So they're going out and they're doing it with enthusiasm and excitement because it's going to help them accomplish their personal goal. You guys are going to have a ton more success in your business. So thanks so much, guys, for your time. Again, I appreciate you bearing with me through some of my little muting out and hacking coughing fits. But ultimately, looking forward to our next training, which will be coming up in about 2 weeks, and we'll get some a newsletter out to you about the next training as well. Hopefully, you guys found this valuable, and as always, appreciate your feedback. Brian.Lyles@alphay.com. Again, Brian.Lyles@alphay.com, and looking forward to working with you guys soon. Have a good night.